Good afternoon. Hi, my name's Sophia Broomfield, and today I'm going to be talking about should women athletes earn the same as men? My specific purpose for this presentation is to inform you why women athletes should earn the same as men athletes should. Women work just as hard in sports as men do, even though studies show that women get injured more than men do in sports. It still does not mean that they should earn less than men athletes in the same sport. It's a question that produces much emotion and a much heated debate between women and men. There's so much need to make changes with the pay gap between men and women in sports. Women in sports have proven to be just as exciting and competitive as men's sports, as well as women have proven to work just as hard as men in sports. In history, women like Jackie Joyner Kersee, who is one of the world's most famous athletes for her long jump, she is often referred to as the first lady of American athletics. I also have another picture here of her doing her long jump. You can see that right there. She competed in 4 Olympic Games for the United States from the years in 1984 to 1996, earning medals in both women's heptathlon and women's long jump. When all was said and done, Joyner Kersee earned an astounding 3 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze medals. That's amazing. In present, we have extraordinary women athletes like Serena and Venus Williams, who are both world champions in tennis as well. So we can get a good picture here of them hugging each other. There's still major discrepancies in pay and exposure. Female athletes often come of age discouraged by the prevalence of sexist phrases like play like a girl and the awareness that most people in the sports world somehow expect less of them. So when female athletes arise who not only challenge but shatter stereotypes, most people in the sports world somehow expect less of them. But they captivate the entire world, especially when they, get to a point where they can dominate a game, a sport. And so they should receive the same opportunities as their male counterparts. It's been long enough, basically. Studies show that women do get injured more than men do in sports, but still should not mean that they should earn less than male athletes in sports, in the same sport. Going to talk about the woman's body first here, and a woman's core body temperature can differ up to 1 degree Celsius from the mid-luteal to follicle phase of her menstrual cycle, which means like if you're working out too much or you're overexerting yourself, a woman can lose her menstrual cycle during that time. Considering elevated core body temperature can be determined to the athletic performance. A female athlete's physiology will be excessively stressed, especially competing in the heat compared to a male athlete. Some can be so ignorant, or we as people need to understand that women's sports are just as entertaining physically and tactfully sound as men's sports. Some can be so ignorant and misogynistic when it comes to women's sports and pay gap. Studies show that women get injured more than men do, but it still should not mean that they should earn less. Women athletes in training. Differences in sex hormones. Male athletes have a greater response to training stimuli, such as weight training, strength, and conditioning compared to female athletes. Male muscle tends to grow larger, stronger than the female muscle, given comparable training regimens. This again points to differences in athletic potential, but should not take away pay to the woman body. Just because our bodies are built differently, it shouldn't matter on what a female can handle, because it's been proven time and time again with these athletes here that they do work just as hard as males do. So I spoke about injury, and statistics do show that non-contact sports, that female athletes suffer more from knees and shoulder injuries compared to males. Females suffer more 2 times with whiplash in car accidents compared to males. But it's been argued that women's sport isn't as businesslike as men, that it doesn't generate enough interest to justify equally on the pay scale. But this is because they refuse to give women's sports the same platform. Many of the sports that offer equal pay also allow both men and women the chance to share the platform. Athletics, cycling, skating, swimming have a world championship that both genders can participate in. And both have proven to, win gold medals and things like that, and to compete in a higher scale. Women do need to mirror their attitude on the field and be more unapologetic when it comes down to fulfilling their earning potential. Broadcasting companies to broadcast, the women's sports need to be broadcasted more, need to be advertised more. I think if we find if we do a better job at marketing and advertising them, the pay should, I think that the entertainment would be more available, more enticing for people to watch, and for the money to come in to pay what they should earn, what they've actually worked hard for. Women have been underappreciated and undervalued, even though they are working just as hard as men. And women athletes are fighting for equality. So our current athletes, they are working very hard for equality, and it's only a matter of time before women get paid what they are owed. The top WNBA salary was $117,500 last season, compared to $37.4 million in the NBA. So that's a pretty low from what an NBA player would make compared to the WNBA. Even though WNBA players will enjoy a modest salary increase in the upcoming 2019-20 season. So from my research, that they will still earn about 20% of the minimum salary of an NBA player, even though they're essentially doing the same job, according to CNBC. So it's still a pay gap, and these players are working just as hard as the male players in the NBA. So, and the reason for that is that because WNBA players earn less in basketball leagues because it only generates about $25 million. So going back to what I was saying, if we do a better job at marketing and advertising it, bringing games to bigger cities and giving these athletes a better shot, I think that would help to raise that kind of money the way the NBA is able to receive, lots of money for tickets and games and things like that. So they can earn up to 15 times more than the salaries offered by the WNBA. As a result, they're actually forced to play basketball all year without a break, just to basically make the amount of money that they're making right now. They have to play all year. So like overseas, things like that. In the end, we ask ourselves, should women earn the same as men in sports? Due to the facts, it is time that women get the money that they deserve. They work just as hard as men do in sports. Just because women are more prone to injury should not mean that they should earn any less. In conclusion to my presentation today, you want to ask yourself, as I leave you, ask yourself if women are mentally and physically strong enough to give birth, something a man cannot do, then why can't we be strong mentally and physically enough as athletes to be able to earn the same amount of money that men do? I mean, you want to imagine being the best at your craft. So just imagine that for 1 second. You go to school, you train, you work hard, and getting paid hardly nothing for it. Being a champion at something, winning time and time again, just like, Lisa Leslie, and that she plays for the WNBA. You got Serena Williams and Venus Williams that won multiple championships, and you got Biles, the gymnast, that she's done phenomenal at her sport. So those